Right. USA round 10. Go back to Russia. 10. 4 infantry bought and repaired 11 damage to Moscow. Not that it really looks like it. Yeah. Quite a dramatic change to Moscow right now. Yeah, so took West Russia with a tank blitz, took Caucasus for free, took Ukraine for free, took Kazakh, no units lost, took Novo, no units lost. Not that it would look like it, obviously. It's looking quite rough for Russia right now. There's a workaround, but it requires risk taking. Yeah. They were all deployed into Russia here, but they're gone. Russia sent their fighters down to India to help defend it, which has worked, but looks like we're going to have to give that up anyway, because of this. Debatable. Considering what had happened in this round, it might have been debatable whether India stack was a mistake or not. Or the fact that Russia did not fully stack Moscow itself, so it was weak to an attack, right? 2 tanks, 9 infantry for the Germans here. 2 tanks, 6 infantry to Germany. 3 infantry to Italy. Took West Russia, stacking it. Took Ukraine, losing an infantry. Took Baltic, losing an infantry. Took Northern, losing an infantry. Yeah, and then stacked this. Now, it looks like... Well, beforehand, it looked like the Germans were going to go stack the Caucasus, but no, they're going to go and take Moscow here. They killed Germany. Now, normally you wouldn't want to do that, but it looks like Germany could pull it off. This could be game ending, depending on how well the Americans perform this round. We will see, but I have to do something here. This is not good. Moved his fighters into Poland, so this is definitely for a strike on Russia here. UK bought 11 infantry. Took France. Attacked Northern, losing 2 infantry and failed. Attacked Bellow, losing an infantry and retreated with 1. Took Baltic, losing an infantry. Yeah, these Germans are quite responsive in this round in particular. Besides that, of course, but that was quite an active round for Germany. Of course, stacked India and continued to stack Karelia. Right, Japan. 8 infantry, 2 artilleries, and 1 bomber. Took out the transport in 53, took Eastern, killing an infantry. No units lost. Took Kazakh, losing an infantry. Took Archangel, well, failed Archangel, actually, losing an infantry. Took Vologda, killing an infantry, no units lost. Took Novo, killing 2 for the price of 1. Yep. And then airstrafed Russia, killing 5 infantry, losing 5 fighters and a bomber. Now, I do think Japan got poor dice there, which was is great for us. It really is. He lost everything. Yeah, it looks like he got diced there. Or, I don't know what happened there, but quite a rough outcome. I don't even need to calculate to tell that that was quite a rough, very responsive Russians, I think. But regardless, it seems like Japan's treating its air forces as cannon fodder. Because you air raided a large, dense, well, a small stack, right? And this is a pretty good play. I was not expecting this. So it's going to force America to do something about this stack. I'm going to have to try and weaken it. Because there's no way we defend Moscow. Germany just takes it for no problems, really. Can't really allow that, to be honest. I was thinking of a counter stack, but it doesn't really work. It doesn't look like it would really work at all. It would work if we prepared on UK's turn to stack Baltic, I think. But going in just to lose the UK, like, doesn't really work. I don't think. Germany could probably like handle both Russia itself and Karelia by just weakening both stacks, and all it would do is buy Japan more time, I think. And of course, further stacked Burma with the Japanese here. Put an air force in Ivenki, which that's 4 bombers on 3 again. No doubt Japan would hit that regardless of the odds, as he has clearly shown. So with that in mind, we 5 infantry and artillery with a transport and 2 fighters for free. I was going to consider getting 2 bombers for a potential retake of Russia. But I need the fighters for my fleet defense. I cannot afford the Shuck to be interrupted again. So I'm going to need to at least put a small bit of defense up. The UK will probably have to come back in. But yeah. I'm buying a new transport because I'm going to have to sack a transport to try and take Northern here. Of course, if I fail to take Northern Europe, then Germany gets 2 transports. There's no point going into 5 because most likely the UK will be moving from 5. That is 5 Japanese planes bearing down on Sea Zone 5, so we cannot afford to lose our navies again. Now, for the Pacific, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I need to try and minimize harassment, I think. I think I'm going to send the carrier to the Atlantic now. And keep the battleship here with a small force, just to some pressure. And I'm actually going to bring the fighters over now to Europe. There's not really a point cap risk. This should be a sufficient defense. Now, this is experimental for me. I don't normally do this. I'm trying to play with the Pacific Fleet to see what I can do. For the most part, I think it has been effective, I think. Japan's only just taken Eastern Australia now. So I think it is doing something. It's not wasting my time here. So yeah, I think that will be the buy. I'm going to go in with the US and then debate what time I should retreat into Archangel. Depending on the result, there's actually a 1-2 potential here. If we can somehow achieve that. That's the German tank corps gone. That's what's that's what's keeping Germany with this momentum here, to just do this. Yeah. Just think, to handle this situation, I can only think of counter-stacking Baltic, which I don't think works. Stacking Archangel, which is passive. It's a passive move, I think. I think I want to be active here, because you have slightly more control as the attacker, right? So I think I have to hit West Russia with the Americans. Unfortunately, it's not what I wanted to sack the American stack on. Now, I was reminded to actually blitz into Archangel first, then come in so I can retreat to Archangel if need be. Yes, that's props to General Jippy. I think that's a pretty good move, actually. It didn't occur to me straight away. And yeah. This just has to work, otherwise Germany just takes 2 transports. I could split the US transport into 6. Now that I think about it. Because the only thing that can hit 6 is a Japanese bomber, so what? He probably wants to dedicate a bomber to hitting 3 anyway. I'm replacing the transport anyway. I'm actually gonna suggest moving the US into 48 and the UK into into 60, so we can put pressure on this. He only has 1 destroyer. He can kill 1. Then he's got to think about his defense, because it would be worth trying to test a submarine against a lone carrier. The fighters don't do anything for it, and he's got no IC in Kwangtung, so he can't buy another destroyer, right? It's a little bit of harassment. Hopefully it does something. Of course, if he shoots down a single plane, it will drastically affect my attacker output here, so I can't afford to lose any. I'm going to have to sack the bomber first, because I need the fighters to defend Moscow. Good luck to the United States. That man has killed 3 infantry. Get the little battle out the way, I think. I'm just doing this to trade for Russia here. Yeah, I mean, the average result is like 8 artillery left. But that's me sacking all my planes. I can't go in for that, so we'll see how well the Americans can perform here. I'll definitely take that. Come on, boys. I need him to whiff. Can't say that's whiffing, but I can go in for another round. Alright, I'm gonna have to pause here and calculate Germany's odds on Moscow, I think. Right, so I'm looking at this here. If I retreat now, overall, Moscow's defense will be an 84.5% to hold. Karelia will still be a 93. '89, I mean. I forgot this dude. Do I retreat here? Alright, yeah, so I've double-checked everything here. The move will be to retreat. I think the Americans have done a pretty good job here at saving Russia. What was that, 5? 12 to 15, which I think I'm happy with that. He did get a pretty poor result from his tanks, so I'll definitely take that. His lights, though, did very well. I think that's all 25, though, right? Yeah. So that's kind of to be expected. That's a decent ratio, I would say. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. I will retreat. Not into... There's no point sacking the American units into Archangel here. Let's just hold this. So he can take Alaska again. I'm going to have 2 infantry and a tank ready. I'm going to ask the UK to move forward into 60. I'm pretty sure you could do that. Non-combat move. If not, he'll go to 63. We're going to harass this setup here. This is a bit cocky, so we need to stop this. I think I'm putting the carrier into 12 now, just in case the J Air Force gets out of hand, and I can have 2 carriers. The Americans here. I was meaning to do that. I was meaning to buy one at some point, but just haven't had the time or resources to do so. Now, I think I want to keep the battleship in range of this. This area. Yeah, I think I will come back here. Roughly a 14% to conquer. If he conquers that, I don't think the game would be over, because the US can still technically reconquer it with the tanks and with just the tanks, right? And I have 2 fighters here, so yeah, technically tanks and fighters. Yeah, so 84 on Moscow, and Karelia is slightly more comfortable by a couple percent. It's an 89, and yeah, there's just minus attacker profits across the board for the Axis on both of these battles, so he can't take it. It's just unfortunate the UK's trades weren't as effective, and then this would be a slightly stronger position, but I think the Americans have done a pretty good job here. To not lose a fighter as well is a blessing, I would say. And losing 12 for the price of 15, I think that's a pretty good ratio there. So, yeah, I'm not used to seeing a huge UK stack. I normally have the UK trade it all off, pretty much. But this is it's a nice little cushion here to keep our hold on Karelia. Yeah, pretty happy with that round, actually. From the US. Very nice. I mean, it follows Russia's doctrine, but I seriously doubt Germany's going to hit Karelia at all. So, right. There's 46 IPC for the Americans here. AP's gone down for both teams here, but it should go up slightly with Russia. And yes, I think the Americans have just have done just enough and didn't take too many losses either. So that was a very good round, I would say. Alright, that is the end of USA round 11. And we're back for USA round 12.